There are fewer than 100 people on Earth who literally cannot forget their own lives, and every single one of them has described it as a prison. That's the thing nobody tells you when they talk about perfect memory as a superpower. The people who actually have it are begging scientists to take it away. So what happens when technology makes that condition available to every child alive? That's what this video is about, and by the end of it, the way you think about forgetting is going to be completely different. Here's the setup. We've all heard the idea that a better memory is a better life. Better grades, better relationships, better performance, and sure, on the surface that sounds right. But science has quietly been building a case that forgetting isn't a flaw in the system. It is the system. And there's a reason that matters right now in 2026 more than it ever has before. I want to walk you through what researchers have actually found, what's already happening in the tech world, and then land on something at the end that I think is going to genuinely bother you. Because there's one piece of this story that almost nobody is talking about, and I'm saving it for last. Let's start with the second most surprising thing on this list, because it reframes everything that comes after it. Forgetting is not passive. Your brain doesn't just let memories fade the way an old photograph loses color. Research published in Science suggests that microglia, immune cells that live inside your brain, are actively determining when a synaptic connection is no longer valuable and then eliminating it. Forgetting doesn't arise from disuse. It arises because microglia are taking active measures to prune away unnecessary synaptic connections. Think of them as a demolition crew, not a maintenance crew. When researchers depleted microglia or inhibited their ability to engulf synapses, forgetting was prevented. Synapse elimination by microglia appears to lead to the degradation of memory engrams and the forgetting of previously learned memories. So a child who never forgets wouldn't be lucky. Their brain's demolition crew would essentially be switched off. And here's where it gets even stranger. Researchers have actually found a person whose genetic code does something close to exactly that. Using whole exome sequencing of an individual with highly superior autobiographical memory, researchers identified a unique de novo missense variant in the MYCBP2 gene. When they introduced the homologous variant into a model organism, it resulted in reduced forgetting and increased membrane-bound glutamate receptors in relevant neuronal cells. In plain terms, one genetic mutation in one gene appears to turn down the brain's forgetting dial. The identification of functionally relevant genetic variants in individuals with superior memory traits has the potential to inform future research into memory-modulating therapies, which means forgetting may not just be biological, it may eventually be editable. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so what? If we could dial down forgetting in a child, why wouldn't we? And this is where I need you to stay with me because the answer is genuinely counterintuitive. The people who already live with near-total recall don't want it. The condition is called hyperthymesia, also known as highly superior autobiographical memory, or HSAM, and there are nearly 100 confirmed cases worldwide as of 2025. HSAM presents fascinating neurological complexity, and individuals with it typically exhibit very vivid recollections of both significant and mundane events, which they cannot control or intentionally suppress. The first documented case, a woman later identified as Jill Price, didn't come to researchers to show off a superpower. She came asking for relief. Academic work on the condition has framed sufferers as both wardens and prisoners of their own memories, noting that a healthy relationship with time actually requires the ability to let go. And the neuroscience backs that up in a way that's hard to ignore. The overlap between HSAM and conditions such as autism is discussed in research, as they may share features such as compulsive fixations on dates and an inability to get over bad memories. Real-world cost. When you remember every detail of every argument, every slight, every moment of embarrassment in perfect high definition, forgiveness becomes structurally harder. Other people forget the fight. The person with HSAM recalls it in striking detail, weeks and years later, as if it just happened. A child who forgets nothing also forgives almost nothing. But here's the thing that surprised me most, and this is the point I keep coming back to. Forgetting isn't just emotionally useful, it's cognitively essential. Without it, you actually get dumber. The brain doesn't store wisdom by remembering everything. It stores wisdom by compressing experience. When you go through something hard, Your brain eventually fades the raw footage and keeps the lesson. Research on how animals process fear learning shows that roughly 10 to 15 days after a scary event, the brain stops fearing only the exact original context and begins fearing anything remotely similar, because it forgot the specific details and kept the general rule. That's generalization. That's learning. Long-term human memories work the same way. The what happened fades, so the what it means can survive. Kill forgetting and you trap a child in raw footage forever, drowning in specifics, never extracting the principle. While recall over extended intervals severely declines in people without HSM, it shows only minimal decay in HSM individuals. And this unique trait suggests HSM may be driven less by an enhanced capacity to learn and more by a reduced ability to forget. Less ability to forget, not more ability to remember. That's the distinction that changes everything. Now, remember that open question I planted at the start? The thing that almost nobody is talking about? We're almost there. But first, I need to show you how close this already is to your actual life. In December 2025, Meta acquired Limitless, an AI startup formerly known as Rewind. The company made an AI-powered pendant designed to record your conversations, and following the acquisition, it announced it will no longer sell its hardware devices. But the technology itself, the idea of a wearable that records everything you say and hear all day, didn't go away. By acquiring the company, Meta took another step toward realizing its vision of bringing superintelligence to everyone. According to Limitless's announcement, the company shares in Meta's vision to bring personal superintelligence to everyone, which includes building AI-enabled wearables. The external memory for a child's entire childhood is not a thought experiment anymore. It's a product roadmap at one of the largest companies on Earth. And here's where the privacy piece lands. In most US states, it's legal to record a conversation without the other person's knowledge. An AI consultant who spoke publicly about these wearables said she now scans people's necks, wrists, and ears when she walks into a room, and discovered at a conference that a speaker had secretly recorded what she thought was a private conversation, entirely within the law. So your child's perfect external memory won't just record them. It will record you, your arguments, your worst moments as a parent, permanently, whether you agreed or not. And now we get to the part I've been holding back. The thing that I think actually changes the stakes of this whole conversation. By the time a child turns 5, studies show their digital footprint may already include thousands of images, most of them posted by their parents. Research on what's been called data valence shows that the data parents share unintentionally can be used to build academic, economic, and personality profiles that get sold to employers, advertisers, and college admissions offices. The Never Forget future didn't start with the kids' technology. It started with the parents' posts. And legally, there's almost no protection for the child. The EU's GDPR does give people the right to request deletion of personal data, but the framework offers very little support to minors who are the subjects of what researchers call sharenting, partly because of a strong presumption in the law that parents always act in their child's best interest. Some kids have already started pushing back, asking parents to delete entire accounts after discovering their childhood photos had been turned into memes. The first generation that cannot delete its own childhood is being raised right now. Not in some distant future. Right now. So here's where we land. Forgetting is not a bug your child's brain needs fixed. The stability of synapses is essential for long-term storage and retrieval of memories, whereas microglial regulation of synaptic dynamics could affect the stability of memories, providing a potential mechanism for forgetting that exists for a reason. The people who live without it describe it as a prison. The science says it's what makes you intelligent, emotionally resilient, and capable of wisdom. And the technology racing toward giving your child a perfect external memory is already inside the world's biggest tech company's product vision, whether you opted in or not. The question isn't whether your kids will have access to perfect recall. The question is whether anyone is going to ask them if they want it. If this made you think differently about memory, forgetting, or what we're building for the next generation, drop a comment below. I genuinely want to know, would you want your child to never forget anything? Because the answers I've seen on this split people right down the middle. And if you want to go deeper on how AI wearables are reshaping privacy in ways most people haven't caught up to yet, that video is right here. Subscribe if you're new, because this is exactly the kind of thing we dig into. The stuff that sounds like science fiction until you realize it already happened.